Now on Talking Solutions, one of our favorites, Lynda Tache, is here from the Grant a Gift for Autism Foundation. Welcome back.
Thank you, Terry, so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
I love having you here. I have learned so much about autism. I've been watching some shows. Have you seen The Accountant with Ben Affleck?
Yes, that was an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought they portrayed the scenes, when he's younger and throughout the movie. It was really accurate, and it was really neat to see the awareness that would come to that.
Because, Lynda, you have taught me so much over the past couple of years about autism. I saw that early scene in the movie with the young children, and I told my husband, I said, A, that's autism. B, that's going to be Ben Affleck's character. It proved to be the case, and I thought it was an amazing movie. A little violent, but that's what you get.
Yes, I think the good news is that not every person with autism goes into that field.
Yes, but I will note that Ben Affleck, and just for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, recommended on both of our parts, I'm sure. Good movie, and he plays an accountant, and the fact that a lot of individuals with autism are very intently focused on the things they're doing, that's exactly what he's good at.
Exactly. He was almost a savant in that area, and that's why we always try to reach the potential of all the kiddos and youth that we come across, because they all have a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Ben Affleck's gift, is those numbers and memorizing and figuring out, and he did amazing things. It was really cool to see.
He was highly sought after by people who wanted his services. That's all we'll tell you about the movie, but he is an autistic character, and it was really very cool. Also, talking about the new character on Sesame Street.
Yes.
Her name is Julia?
Yes.
Julia is a Muppet.
Yes.
Who also has autism.
I've seen a lot of the segments with her, and the character, surprisingly, is so accurate. And it's funny because my son Grant, who's now 15 and a half, believe it or not.
Wow.
He's been watching the segments on YouTube, and he really relates to it. That's how wonderful it is what they're doing to bring the awareness and how accurate it is. Because Grant said, Mom, I remember I used to do that when I was little. I had issues with, sirens and bells, and I wouldn't look people in the face, or when people were trying to play with me and I didn't respond, they didn't understand. It's really cool to see that happening. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the person that either helped create the puppet or even operates the puppet has a son with autism. So she's really in tune with what is going on with this character.
I love that Grant has come so far in his development to where now he can relate to you.
Yes.
The sort of things that he didn't verbalize before when he was going through it as a child. But now looking back at it, he's able to say, yep, I relate to that. That happened to me too. The thing that I think is so precious about this Muppet Julia on Sesame Street is the fact that kids of very young ages now are understanding about this different special character who is also autistic. And those are the kids in the classrooms that need to understand and be considerate.
You're so right. You just, I think, hit it on the head of really what the point is, that inclusion is the key to both sides. It's the key to the person with a disability or autism, learning how to be in those inclusive settings, have friends, and try to be as typical as possible. But on the other side, those children understand acceptance and differences in everybody. I think if we can grow a new generation of children that understand that, and then when they grow up, they'll be more sensitive to differences, and then hopefully teach their children how to do that as well. So I agree. That was a great thing you just brought up. That's, I think, a really big thing with this character.
Well, when something really resonates with you, over 20 years ago, it was the first Miss America who had a disability.
Yes.
I started crying when she was crowned. It wasn't that she and I had the same situation because of my MS. I understand. You're different. And when you can achieve what other people think is the pinnacle of beauty or all-around great person, whatever, it really resonates.
Yes.
I love that. And when kids understand, they'll treat each other better. That's one of those long-term fixes for things like bullying, for instance.
Yes.
Which is a big deal for kids with autism. One of the sweetest things mentioned during one of our interviews a couple months ago, Nevada Pep. I love the way Stephanie and Robin referred to, we help families who have kids who learn differently.
Yes.
I love that phrase.
Yes.
Doesn't identify any one condition. They learn differently. That's certainly the case with autism.
It's that simple. They learn differently, and sometimes there's just different labels that are attached to it, but it is really uniqueness of each person.
Nevada PEP helps with kids with different disabilities learning differently. I just love the way they phrase it. And they also are a big proponent helping in anti-bullying efforts here in Nevada.
They do a great job, and I love Nevada PEP, and I know Robin, and then also Karen Tache, who's their executive director. They do such wonderful things for the bullying, and I know they have a really great awareness event that they do every year. On top of that, they really have some great advocacy training to help families, whether it's in the education process or just even getting health care. They have a lot of advocacy, which I think really, on top of the anti-bullying, is just an amazing resource for our families in this state.
Lynda Tache is the executive director of the Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. We've said in past shows that Grant is also the name of your son.
Yep.
That's how the organization came around, and he was about 5 or so before you finally got that diagnosis. I'm hoping our medical personnel, doctors and such, are getting to understand autism better.
It definitely, Terry, is improving. There's still a lack of education and knowledge with pediatricians out in the community. Just to refresh the story, Grant was 9 months old when I started seeing signs, and I didn't know what it was. So fast forward, 5.5, 6 years old, he got the medical diagnosis. So you see that big window of treatment opportunity that we lost. And luckily, Grant has really progressed and come a long way, but he maybe could have been a little further along if we would have known. So that's why that piece is so critical. And that's why I'm excited about the partnership that we have with the UNLV School of Medicine. All of the students that go through the school will be training through the center to understand the signs, whether they go into that developmental pediatric field or not. They'll know to recognize it, to screen it, and then where to refer it. And if we can get those three things in the hands of every doctor, it's really possible for them to make a huge impact with the community, I believe.
And one of the reasons why it's so important to get that diagnosis as soon as possible is because these kids are in formative learning years, and that's lost time.
Absolutely. They say that the most critical window is like 0 to 5, that early intervention window. And actually, we're finding in our center, we've diagnosed toddlers as young as like 16 months old. There are screening tools now that can assess that. So that's really critical to get them that early intervention because that's when their brain is really developing. And then they say that up through 21 years old, there will be some gains. But of course, the younger you catch it and treat it, the better outcomes and probably more independence they'll have.
And even though Grant didn't get diagnosis of autism until after the age of 5, he's rocking it.
Yes, he is. Because honestly, once I found out, I was like a crazy woman. I was searching out everywhere. I was reading things. I was researching. And I said, okay, now that we know, what can we do? So we did as much as we could as soon as possible. But Grant is just amazing, Terry. Every year he progresses so much. And now he's saying that he actually wants to learn how to drive.
Lucky mom.
Which is scary.
Every parent knows that.
I told him, we'll talk about that when you're 18. But just the fact that he's interested, and honestly, a year ago, I thought he would never be able to. I had no hopes for him, but I'm actually starting to think that there is a possibility that he would be able to. So we're going to start looking into what the steps are for that. And then he's starting to talk about how he wants to even live on his own someday, like have his own apartment with a roommate. And normally parents are just like, are you sure? But I'm just like thinking I need to encourage that. And for him to even be thinking he is capable of those things just really warms my heart because that means that he's getting it and that we've done something right to put him in that mindset.
You've done a lot of things right. And as far as the driving thing, I may not have any of those disabilities, but I remember long, long ago when I really wanted a car, my mom was like, you are never getting a car. What? Never? Yeah.
My hope is with all this technology that by the time he learns to drive, the cars will drive themselves.
Yeah, we're getting really, really close to that. They're already parking for us.
Exactly.
So, that could happen.
Yeah.
I love the center. Last September, you actually opened the Family Resource Center for Autism in relationship with UNLV's new medical school.
Everything is located in the medical district area by UMC, which is perfect because that's where all the doctors are. are and they can train the dental schools over there as well, because there's a lot of dentists that don't understand how to serve the children with the sensory issues and even autism and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother discipline of medical professionals that really need training.
Talking about the special needs of autistic patients. I was getting blood work and everything done, and I'm sitting there waiting for my appointment, and you could hear in the back a young child absolutely frightened, upset, and making a lot of noise and causing quite the fuss. In the past, before I understood about autism, thanks to you, I might have thought that that was just a child acting up. My first thought, though, now is, what if that child has autism? They did eventually get through it, but you could tell in the waiting room there that other people, they were thinking that it was just an out-of-control child.
It's interesting you say that, because I see a lot of that in the community, whether it's in a grocery store or it's even on the street. I'll never forget a time I was in Laguna Beach. We were on one side of the street, and on the other side of the street, there was a child tantruming like horrible, probably 8 years old. And the parents were trying to restrain him because they were right by the street. He was screaming like bloody murder. And I remember seeing all the people around, like thinking that the parents were hurting him or something. And then I just started saying around all the people, that child has autism. I recognize it. My son did the same thing, because they looked, like you said, horrified, like they didn't know what was going on. It's a very common thing. And thank you for sharing. That makes me really happy, because growing up, we'd be at Walmart or anywhere, and Grant would do that, Kohl's, he would do that, and he was really tall for his age. I mean, he's 6'2", and so he tantrumed as late as 11 years old. So you look at this like 5'10" person acting like a 2-year-old. Most people don't get it, and they give you the look, they make comments, and like you said, if they can just understand that there's something more going on than just this child is not disciplined properly, and if they just look at the parent and the horrifying look that the parent has, help them, or just ask them, can I do anything, instead of judging? And I think really that makes all the difference in the world. But thank you for sharing that, because that is so true. It happens everywhere all the time.
It does, and you don't know when it's going to happen.
Nope.
Plus that the parent with an autistic child that you are trying to, I hate to use the word control, but that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get them under control. You've got not only the child to be concerned with, you also have that peer reaction, and you're looking around at these other people who are not understanding. And they're thinking it's all your fault.
Yeah, you feel like you have so much shame. So you're dealing with two things at the same time, simultaneously. The embarrassment and just even the care of the child, saying, I need them to calm down, right? But then you're dealing with the whole side of, these people are judging me. I'm a bad parent. I feel ashamed. I really can't control my child right now. All those emotions are going on, and it's just a really devastating feeling. That's all I can say, is it's probably one of the worst feelings that I've ever experienced as a parent with Grant.
And the thing that you're asking of anybody who's witnessing it or being affected by the noise, if nothing else, just that they, as you said, don't judge.
Right.
You don't know the whole situation.
Right. Exactly. It's really that simple.
Like you want to be in the middle of that.
Yeah. And I almost came to the point where I was like, I'm just going to have him wear a T-shirt that says, I have autism and I tantrum. I don't know that's not really appropriate.
That's a little punishment. Maybe if you could just get a little flip card out of your purse and hold it up and go, autism on display here. Sorry.
Well, the good news is that more people know the word autism, because I remember back in the day, I even said that when I was getting the looks or comments. I said, well, he has autism. And they looked at me like I had 3 eyes. They didn't know what that word even meant. So the good news is there's more awareness of it. So if parents do feel comfortable to say it, express it so that people may understand, I think that there's more understanding once a person says that.
The word autism. Now people are starting to get it.
Yes.
The numbers as far as kids being diagnosed with autism have really ballooned over the past years. When I first started talking about this years ago, it was like 1 in 128 or some huge number. The latest that we'd been hearing, I think they're saying 1 in 68.
Yes, I know when I started Grant a Gift back in 2009, it was 1 in 150. And prior to that, like you said, it was like 1 in 500 and so on. And through the years, it's crept up. And now the official number for the Center for Disease Control is 1 in 68. There are studies being done, I think, on the Health and Human Service side. They think it's even more prevalent than that. But really, that's the number we're dealing with right now on average, 1 in 68 nationally. that equates to probably 3.5 million individuals that are affected by autism in our country. And then in Nevada alone, now the count's even gone up since you and I last talked. I think it was 7,500 and now it's over 8,500 of documented children and youth through the school districts. But there's tons more that maybe go to private schools or they're homeschooled or they're just not identified yet. It keeps going up. It's crazy.
Lynda Tache is with us, Executive Director of the Grant a Gift for Autism Foundation, and you're now affiliated with the UNLV Medical School, and I saw the whole name. It is the UNLV Medicine Ackerman Autistic Center. We know Ackerman is Gary Ackerman.
Yes, Gary Ackerman, our autism angel in the community. Such an amazing person and resource and has such a big heart. And, you know, the reason Gary is so passionate is his son was diagnosed. His son's 34. So he was diagnosed so long ago that they had to go to UCLA. Way back, and even when Grant was younger, a lot of families had to leave Nevada to go seek a diagnosis or treatment. So, you know, Gary's experienced even more probably than I have because there was a little more going on when Grant was diagnosed. But Gary, he's the vice chairman of our board. He's been a dear friend for 10 years. This is a vision that he, myself, and Dr. Julie Beasley, who's our clinical psychologist that does a lot of the assessing over at the center, you know, the three of us had this vision and finally it's come to pass. And what better than with the School of Medicine, right?
Lynda, learning about autism with you for the past few years, it's just amazing. These kids, their potential. Now, if the condition exists, at least there are places that you can go.
Yes.
Services, experts that you can access if a family has, and we talked about kids being homeschooled or maybe private schools, maybe they're not in the general population of known individuals in the state of Nevada who are diagnosed now with autism. But if a family has the need for a diagnosis, for knowledge, for understanding, resources, should they start with your center?
Yes. I would say that even going one step further, starting with they can visit our website because there's a lot of additional resources outside of treatment. There's different advocacy resources and stuff like that. So I would definitely say either start at our website, which is grantagiftfoundation.org. That leads them to the center, or they can call our office and speak with our navigation department that can identify if they need a scholarship or financial assistance, which then leads them into the center as well. So they can reach a navigation specialist for no charge at all at 702-564-2453. But yes, the center would be the place, the one-stop shop that they could get the diagnosis, treatment, social skills, vocational training, you know, no matter what age. That's the exciting part, Terry, is that no matter what age someone contacts us, there's a place for them to be. And it's something that they can just, you know, plug in and then get that lifespan of care so that they can be as independent as possible and really discover what their true gifts are to reach that full potential.
You started this journey with Grant.
Yes.
And I know that he was very young when you were starting to see the signs.
Yes.
You knew something was wrong. You just didn't know yet that it was autism.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been going on this journey with him for over a decade and a half now. Is he still doing the YouTube channel?
Yes, he is. Yeah. Mr. Grant, yes, he is doing the YouTube channel. And from what I understand, he's actually, which this is the entrepreneur in him, I guess, which he takes after his mom in that arena. But I think he's monetized one of his videos as well, which he made like $100 or something.
Whoa.
So I guess they can do that. They can get advertised. I don't know. But that's the other thing. I don't know any of that technology stuff. But yes, he's still doing the YouTube stuff, you know, and I think as he's maturing, his content is becoming a little more mature as well. In fact, this is an interesting thing. I thought I would never hear this. So a lot of children, you know, on the spectrum really love Thomas the Train. I mean, Thomas the Train is like it. And,
really?
And yes, Thomas the Train. I think because trains have wheels, and I haven't figured it out yet. They just really love Thomas. And so a lot of Grant's content has always been built around Thomas the Train, which, you know, he can do older stuff, but it's still like toddlerish, you know. But anyway, so he said to me the other day, he goes, Mom, he goes, I think I'm outgrowing Thomas. He goes, I really like Thomas because I've liked him since I was little, but I think I'm outgrowing it. So for him to say that is huge because a lot of children still, or adults even, are still in to Thomas the Train. It's so bizarre. But another thing that they're into as well are Disney movies and even SpongeBob. Those three things, like if you talk to a parent with a child with autism, those three things are usually, it's one or more. And I just wanted to let you know that there's a really great movie out there called Life Animated. It's a story of a person, he's now a young adult from Massachusetts that has autism, and it starts from his diagnosis on, but he was nonverbal and he learned to speak through the Disney movies, and the Disney movies helped him with his artistic ability. He's written a book, and I think that movie was nominated for an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So it's called Life Animated, and it's real good depiction of the whole lifespan of diagnosis now to him trying to find a job in community living.
Life Animated?
Yes.
All right, I'll be looking that one up for sure. I'm expecting that Grant one of these days is going to have one of his short videos, one of his little short movies up for an Oscar. We're going to be going, yeah!
Exactly, right? I know, and I'll make sure I invite you to the Oscar party.
I can't wait. Lynda Tache with the Grant and Gift Autism Foundation. I think when you put together a party for the families who have autism within their family,
yeah.
When you put together a party like that, I'm thinking that the little paper plates and all the decorations are going to be SpongeBob and Thomas the Train. And you have some Disney stuff going on. It'll be a hit every time.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong.
We want to always ask, what can we do to help you? I know, Lynda, you have an event coming up that we've been involved with now for several years with Beasley Media, and especially our friends with 1027 The Coyote. They're all over this, and that is the 5K Autism, the Race for Hope, and the Fun Walk.
Yes.
And it's coming up Saturday the 29th, and it's happening at the Green at Town Square. I love that spot.
Yes, it's perfect. It is perfect.
So it's back for the same place again this year.
Yes, yes. You know, we can't go wrong. It's worked every year for us.
So you're inviting anybody, and you don't have to be connected with someone with autism to go be part of this.
Right.
You're supporting the cause.
Yes.
And it's going to be a wonderful Saturday morning with all kinds of great things going on. What you going to have? You got a 5K race. You got the Fun Walk.
Yep. We have also a kids run. For the last couple of years, we started the kids run, which is a shorter run, and they get a medal. Each child that runs it gets a medal. And then also Blue Man Group, who has been a wonderful partner over the years, will be doing a performance at the opening ceremony. So we're going to have that. We'll have a DJ. There's lots of food trucks there. We also have a resource fair. So we'll have 50 plus vendors that are related to autism and other needs in the community there to supply information. So yes, please, if families, you know, regardless if you're just there to create awareness or raise funds for our scholarship programs or just get resources or just come out and have a fun day, it's great. We have the balloon makers, the face painting. I mean, the kids just have such a great time. It's really cool.
Well, and the resource fair itself, as we mentioned, you don't have to have someone in your household who is affected by autism. But I'll tell you from my side, I don't have anyone that I know of in my family who is affected. However, understanding about autism so that I react differently.
Thank you.
That makes you feel so good.
Yes, it really does. It does. It's like you're giving back without really having to physically do anything. It really is. It's giving back to the community because it's just that acceptance and support, right?
Yes, exactly. When you understand what an autistic child, when they're having an issue, when they're throwing a fit, a tantrum, whatever, when they're displaying in any kind of a group, in a restaurant, in a department store, like you were saying.
Yes.
I was at a diagnostic center, Quest. There were all kinds of people in that front lobby. You can tell just by looking that they don't get it yet. That's the point, though. Yet.
I like that. That's a hopeful term.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of hope when it comes to dealing with people with autism.
Yeah.
Because by talking with you and having you in for our discussions over these years, we learn more about autism. We understand the families, how they're affected. We also understand more about the kids. We do know also with autism, about 80% boys to girls?
Yes, if not more. About 4 out of every 5 children diagnosed, it's a boy, 4 boys to 5. And it's funny, after all the years of my son's, classrooms at school and his treatment programs, there's usually one token female that's in the classroom, and there's no research on why that happens, but they do feel it might be a chromosome thing because boys have the XY and girls, I think, have the XX. So if the X gene is affected, that's maybe why the boys are more affected. That's the only, I think, theory that they've stated out there. But yeah, it's more boys, definitely more boys than girls.
So we're not sure why it happens, but that's not as important as today, at this moment, that we understand a child with autism, that time is of the essence. Getting them the kind of guidance and assistance, help that they need.
Early intervention.
Yes.
Early intervention is probably the most critical thing that has to be done. And the thing is, it takes a lot of resources and time and money to invest in these children to get that early intervention. And that's why our events like the 5K Race for Hope, which is April and Autism Awareness Month, right? So if we need to raise a lot of not only awareness, but funds so that we can help support the families that can't afford it or insurance doesn't cover it, and pay for those doctors to really spend the time that they need with these kiddos.
It's expensive, but the great thing about it is that resources are now here and available for families. So I'll make sure that on our Talking Solutions Facebook page that we have the links. We've got the phone numbers, that we have also a podcast of our discussion today.
That would be great.
We know the resources are now there. I just am constantly amazed at the potential for these kids.
Yes. There is so much potential. Regardless of their functioning level, they all have potential. So really, I think our role in our community is to help them reach that full potential. And I think that gives us more purpose in our life when we're able to do that.
The Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. They've got the big walk coming up on Saturday the 29th at the Green at Town Square, a beautiful location. So that's one of the things, because we always ask, of course, Lynda, what can we do to help you get involved with the walk for so many reasons?
Yes, so many reasons. Like we're saying, is even if someone goes there to support the awareness and fundraising side, they might get some information that they can pass along to somebody that they find out may have autism. We appreciate the time to invest, the awareness. And if you aren't able to make it, Terry, we also have a Sleep In for Autism category. So that takes the excuses away from everyone. So if you cannot make it, you can do Sleep In for Autism and you actually get a free shirt as well.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. I climbed the stratosphere virtually this year.
Oh, that's great. I bet that wasn't very exhausting.
I was not even out of breath. Virtual participation rocks.
I think I can do that with you.
We still support the cause. I love it. That's more common now than you might realize. Virtual participants for people who can't be there can still be right there behind you.
Exactly.
I love that idea.
Exactly. It's wonderful. And, and we'd really like, again, to thank everyone like yourself in the community that come alongside us to really support everything that Grant a Gift and our community organizations are doing, because without that, we wouldn't be able to do what we do with the greatness that we do. So thank you, Terry, for everything that you do to get the word out for all of us. It makes a difference.
Thank you, Lynda Tache. Without you, we wouldn't have the Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. It wouldn't be related to the UNLV Medical School. We wouldn't have this Family Resource Center. You've done so much. And Grant, as your chief inspirational officer, I love that he has business cards now.
Yes.
He's amazing.
Yes, and I just realized this recently, I need to get him on the circuit. So the next time we talk, we should probably bring Grant in.
I love that. You see, I have seats in the studio.
I know. He is really the chief inspiration officer, and he fits the role so well. And it's time for him to share his story, I think.
I think that would just be great. Whatever he would be comfortable with, I'd be all over that. It sounds like a great time. Well, I'm sure that we'll have more discussions. You know that I love learning about autism because shine a light, raise awareness.
Yeah.
It promotes empathy, understanding, and we're all kinder to each other.
Yes.
And that's part of making it a stronger community.
Yep, absolutely.
Saturday, April 29th is the date at the Green at Town Square. The Race for Hope, 5K race got a fun walk, got a kids walk. It's going to be a good time. So all the information, check it out on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, plus a podcast of our discussion. Lynda Tache, am I forgetting anything?
I believe we've covered a lot, and I'm sure that we'll have more to chat about in the future.
The minute that we finish our discussion, you know that I'm always, when I see it on TV or in a movie or out in life happening in real time, I'm always thinking, can't wait to talk to Lynda about this. Always taking notes for you, girl. It is the Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. You want the info? Talking Solutions Facebook page, podcast. Lynda Tache, you know I have a good time when you're here.
The feeling's mutual, Terry. Thank you.
And next time, bring Grant.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us again today on Talking Solutions. Talking Solutions is a production of the Community Relations Department here at Beasley Media Group Las Vegas. Get more information on today's topic on our Talking Solutions page on Facebook, where you will also find links and a podcast of today's show. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.